Big win for Echo Esserman and Moses Itauma knocks out another bin man.
That's unfair. That's unfair to Balogun. He had a very successful sporting career, not in boxing, sure. But I I've liked watching Atoma in his previous fights, but I hadn't realised quite. I knew his hands were quick. I didn't realise how well he moved and how quick he was on his feet. And I'm fully signed up member of the Atoma fan club now, and I thought he looked fantastic defensively. I know well, not a lot coming back, but I think it was in the second round when he was like, right, I'm gonna have to go out my shield here. He was swinging, and the knockout, it was a counter punch, wasn't it? He moved and caught him, with the right,
Very, very
all in
fast
one.
punch. It was such a
It was
fast
very
punch
fast.
that in real time, I thought the guy had fallen over from diving in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, it was brutal, wasn't it? But I thought the fact he got up from the second punch says a lot about Balogun. He got up from that, the second knockdown, sorry, because I thought he was done then. But I thought, we were talking about Tony last week, and my prediction was he'll he'll knock him out when he wants to,
Yeah.
and I kind of feel like he never panicked, did he? When the guy got up, when sometimes you see a young, inexperienced boxer will gas himself out because they're going for that, um, that show real knockout, and that's what Atoma was sort of like trading it. So I thought it was really impressive that he'd done that, and then I saw again another thing I hadn't clocked that he was with Ben Davison as well, who I think he's a good defensive coach if you think Fury under Ben Davis and how different he is now.
Yeah.
That was again Ben Davison on the first Deontay Wilder fight and when Fury first came back. So I think him having someone like that in his corner shows he's not just going to be just all guns blazing. There's levels and levels and skills there, but I hadn't fully appreciated before. I was really excited by that performance, and
So
excited for what happens next.
I'm the opposite then. So I was fully on board the hype train. I was shoveling coal into the fire. I was right
Yeah,
there. And I don't I don't want to criticize the performance because I mean he knocked out a guy he should have knocked out
yeah,
pretty quickly. Nice knockout as well.
yeah,
Um, I felt like he was fighting like he desperately wanted an early knockout a little bit in that fight, Itama. I felt like he really went for it. He did get clipped a couple of times for the first time.
he did.
Nothing,
Yeah, yeah,
nothing major, but he got clipped by a couple. I felt like the first knockdown. I mean, if you see his glove and that first knockdown, it was a slap on the neck. His
yeah,
his
yeah,
hand
yeah,
was like wide open, so
yeah.
it didn't quite land that right. And then I'm not sure why they stopped the fight, to be honest. I mean, I don't think Balogun was in any danger of winning, but I felt like he could have easily got up from that one. That
Yeah,
wasn't a knockout, you're not getting up punch. It was a really, really quick right hand, super fast right hand
yeah,
while he was lunging in. I felt like he could have got up.
yeah. Maybe he could, but I think it was probably one of those where it's like, what's the point
Yeah, but
in this guy here? Um,
so I mean,
he said he wanted to keep going, didn't he? He wasn't happy that it had been stopped, but fighters aren't. But I think he was one where refs like, let's just save him
I
because
just
this it was the third knockdown.
doesn't that feel like the refs going, well, Moses is going to be a champion, so let's just wrap this up. Like, come
I,
on.
okay, I can see that, but I do think it's a case of it's three knockdowns because even though the first one, the punch actually took him down, was sort of like a cuff around the back of the head,
Yeah.
almost. I think it was the right hand before he'd landed with a right, then a left, and then he basically just sort of pulled him over, didn't he? So I think he was on the ropes, and I think he might have gone anyway. Then there was the one right at the start of the second round. I think it's one where the ref's like, right, just save him from himself. He didn't need to take
Yeah, I
any.
suppose. I suppose.
So I think it was sensible refereeing. But I get what you're saying. That
I just felt like it's the first time I've seen anyone really throw anything at
yeah,
Moses, and he caught a few. I'm not saying that's anything bad. Everyone's going to get, caught a few times, but I maybe have just stepped a little bit back off the hype train. But I think it all depends, right? It all depends on what are they going to do with Itauma now? Are they going to leave him knocking out Ben Men for a while? Because he's only 20. We've just seen Johnny Fisher being pushed into a fight that was probably a couple of years too early.
Yeah,
Are they now going to go? Well, actually, I think if he was a Hearn fighter, I think he would already be fighting for a title because
I think you think,
I think Eddie
yeah,
Hearn is cashing in on every single fighter he's got. I don't think he's even considering like long term. Everyone's going in for every fight he can possibly max them out. He wants Ben to fight Eubank a second time because of the money.
yeah,
He wants Joshua to fight Fury. If Joshua's not fighting Fury, he wants him to fight Wilder. It's just cash in with Eddie Hearn. Um,
yeah.
but
Fair enough.
but
Fair
coming
enough.
back to Itama, where do they go? Like where we talked last week, I was talking Bakole, which I don't think's a smart move for
Have you
either
heard what
fighter.
Atoma? No, yeah, I agree with that now. Did you hear what Atoma said about Bakole during the week?
He sort of dismissed him a little bit, hasn't he?
We did, and I'm again. So you're stepping
Sorry,
back.
actually, sorry. Did you say what Itama said about Bakole or what Bakole
Yes,
said about
yeah.
Itama?
No, what Atoma said about Bakole.
Yeah, I heard him dismiss him a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and again, yeah. So you're saying you're stepping back from the Atoma cold face. I'm there. I have my cap on, my overalls. I'm ready. I am ready to shovel it
Don't
in.
you think he looks? Don't you think he looks? He doesn't look like a heavyweight future world champion.
Yeah, but he just. Well, I don't know actually. I
He
mean,
just sort of, he doesn't have. I'm used to seeing fighters with Tyson Fury aside, and maybe Andy Ruiz Jr. aside, fighters with
yeah,
amazing physiques coming in,
yeah,
looking
yeah. He doesn't
like they
have that.
spend every minute in the gym, and he's not got that.
No, he
Um,
doesn't.
and
Oh,
he
this is
doesn't,
what I
his
think.
hair's grown out a little bit, his
I
beard's grown
like
out a
that.
little
I
bit. He just
like
sort of
that.
looks like, honestly, if I went to London and I got in a cab and he sort of turned around and said, "Where to, mate?" I wouldn't be that surprised.
No, no. I'm trying to think which boxers I would be, in that position.
Dave Allen,
Maybe
Dave Allen again, he
Dave
could.
Allen, Johnny Fisher. Yeah, maybe more of a doorman than a yeah,
Yeah,
not that a
yeah,
cab would
yeah.
have you to
Fair
do,
play.
but
Yeah.
maybe more of a doorman than a boxer. But again, classic muscles don't win fights. Bodybuilders,
Yeah. And I'm not, yeah,
he,
absolutely.
he,
It's just
I'm
interesting. It's just interesting that if I said to you 2 years ago, there's a
yeah,
young British prospect, he's knocking everyone out. He's
you'd
he's he,
expect
he weighs
yeah,
250. Yeah, he's an
you'd
absolute
expect him to
machine.
carve out of granite. Yeah,
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 yeah. And
I
then I
know.
showed you a photo of him. I'm sure you'd be like, "Come off it. Who is it really?"
Yeah. No, is that's his security. Where's the where's the talent?
So the other fighter that they were talking about throwing him in, I've heard Jermaine Franklin mentioned a few times. Um,
Franklin,
just because he went the distance with both White and Joshua, who
well,
are both
exactly.
both
It's one of
punchers.
those, isn't it? It's someone who's durable, who
Yeah, I'd be
who
amazed if Franklin takes that fight because after the Joshua fight, which was the second of the two, he was
yeah,
pretty pissed off with the scorecards, and
yeah,
he
yeah.
made noises saying, "I don't think I'm going to be fighting in the UK again."
He did, didn't he? Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
So
Um,
unless they're going to chuck him a lot of money, and I
but
don't.
this is it. I think they are going to have to, whoever it is, because he was saying afterwards to Tone, wasn't he? But who I think, by the way, I think Toma talks well as well. Actually, I
He
quite
talks all
given
right. He talks
given
all
how young
right.
he is.
Yeah, no,
Maybe I'm
he
just
does.
comparing him to. Maybe it's just because I'm comparing him to Daniel Dubois. Maybe that's as a young heavyweight prospect. But I think he does talk okay for how young he is. But anyway, he was saying his team want him to go in and get 10 rounds. That's what it is. And I was again watching Saturday night, and I was thinking, well, who gives him 10 rounds?
But a
And I
couple
think
of
it.
there, I mean, there are a couple of bin men that have taken him 6 rounds. Like he's been taken the distance a couple of times. Shorter fights, obviously, but he has been taken the
Yeah,
distance a couple of times.
yeah. But I'm thinking. I mean, Franklin maybe. I heard Varlin mentioned. Who
I don't know what's going on with that guy. He's
got
got some decent wins under his belt, um, but he's also got some shocking performances. I mean,
he does. He does. Whether it's but again, it's a name, isn't it? And I think it can get a
I think
name can
he'll be
get
on the brink of retirement as well. I think because he's cracking on a bit. I think now.
things so. But
I
I
think
think
it's
it's one of I don't think Bakole. No, so Bakole. I don't think is. is the man now, and that's what Atoma was saying. And I think it's a case of yeah, while he's a name, I don't think it would look as impressive as the other names we're mentioning there. The other one, I guess, could be.
From Mo from Moses, which isn't actually his name, is it? His name's not Moses Itauma.
Oh, is it not? Well,
It's something.
why?
It's something like Enrico Itauma is his real name, and he uses his middle name. I could see why, to be honest.
You just froze then. You said Moses isn't his middle name, and then you just looked off and then yeah, froze, but gone. So
It's
what is his
it,
name?
it's either like Enrico or Enrique.
Oh, nice. That's a good name. That is a good name.
It's not. It's not
Enrique Moses Atoma.
It's not a fearful name though, is it?
Well, not Moses really,
No, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose not.
but he's chosen that. But yeah, I think he looked fantastic. The speed on him,
So
and I'm
do you
really
think, despite the fact that we're sort of talking about fighters, do you think they're going to keep him going very, very slow and keep him not like let's say next four fights they're going to keep putting him in there with not really anyone, or do you think they're actually
well,
going? Do you think that next fight is going to be a name? Do you think there's going to be a name there?
maybe not. Well, yeah, I think the next fight has to be more of a name.
Hmm.
Um, so maybe
Because he's
rather
got, I
than
mean, he's got McKean,
two.
he's got
Yeah,
McKean on it, but
yeah,
McKean's
yeah, yeah.
he's yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest name on there so far, isn't it? But it's I'd love to see him in with someone like Dillian White. I don't.
I think White is the fight. I think that's the fight because I don't think anybody's really interested in fighting White.
No, no,
Um,
exactly. But Atoma would, and Dillian White would. It's just how much. I guess it's the money because
and
it's
White can
not.
sell a fight. White can sell a fight as well. You probably need someone because, like, obviously, nobody that Moses Itama's going in with is bringing anything to the party so far.
Yeah.
Whereas if they stuck him in with a White, you know,
Well, I think the next fight. Actually, sorry, saying this because I still think they'll get him out on the undercard of Usyk Dubois in July. So I don't know whether they can make. Maybe they can make a big fight in that time.
I don't think his next fight will be anyone of any note at all. I just
Yeah.
don't see it. I
Well, if
don't
he's on
see it.
that card, I don't think it will be. But if it's a little while later in the well, I think it's the fight after next has to be a name because if he does similar to that to what he did to Balogun, I think there's going to be the demand there. Like absolute, everyone needs to see that.
The problem is there's nothing in it for anyone fighting Itama.
No,
It's very like forget just picking it from an ideal world or picking it and who's right for Itama. If you pick from a fighter that needs that fight, there's hardly anybody that needs that fight.
no,
Massive
because
risk,
yeah.
very little pay for massive risk. What's the point?
Well, that's it. They have to pay, don't they? You need a lot of money to get in the ring with him. Um, and if you bring in a name, which is what Atoma needs, then the price goes up, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
going to be you have to pay more. I heard something interesting today. I think it was Steve Bunce talking about it. Have you heard this about Povetkin when Povetkin turned over,
No.
and no one would everyone was avoiding him. And I don't know who he actually got in, but his trainer, they'd get people in for behind closed doors fights, so he could get the rounds at professional because he turned over quite late, didn't he, from amateur? So they'd get decent fighters in, but not an official,
Oh,
non-official
okay.
fight. So they take the rounds. They could get the rounds, and he could get the experience. Because if you look at who Povetkin's fought, he's always fighting someone, isn't it? Like a name, a record. So I don't know whether they, go down that route, get someone in, and it's like, right, this won't go on you. So stop him being avoided, if you like.
But
So it's
the
round.
problem is, there's hardly ever been any fighters at that age that are that good.
No,
Mike Tyson's the only other real notable example where they are that young.
yeah,
Um,
that's what nearly 40 years ago. So
yeah, and then obviously Tyson peaked very young as well.
yeah, yeah,
So you're talking heavyweights peaking now, sort of early to mid 30s.
yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
I mean, how will that be the case for Moses Itauma? How will he be fighting at 35?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
15
Well,
years, 15
yeah.
years of pro fights.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe he sails off into the sunset
Mind
by the
you,
time. Yeah.
mind you, that's only 15 fights now, maybe even less.
Well, who knows? Because he again,
And,
yeah,
and
you were
if
saying
Moses
last week,
carries on as he is, it's
yeah,
only
that
about 20,
trajectory
it's
is
about
going.
20 rounds as well.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Never, never been here. Um,
Go on then, but let's make well, since there's not a lot of fights for us to predict this week, why don't we predict who you think the opponent will be?
right. Well, my prediction is, I actually think they'll do the Bakole fight, despite everything I've said. I think they'll do it, knock him out, because I think they can make it, and
Okay.
then I think the fight after it will be. I'm gonna go for Valen.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna go for.
It seems a bit backwards. Wouldn't you go the other way?
I just think that's easier to make Bakole because
Okay.
everyone wants it already. I think you could get Bakole on the undercard of
I think
Usyk.
if you beat Bakole though, do you need to go and fight Otto Wallin? Like you're already a notch above him.
Um, well, where does Bakole get you actually? I'm sorry, in terms of rankings, that's what I'm thinking.
Well,
I think,
I mean, we're going to do our. I'm going to give away my villain of the week. I've got a few, but
yeah,
I
I've
mean,
got
in
yeah,
terms of ranking, Moses Itauma is the number one ranked fighter in the WBO right now,
right, okay.
which is
So,
insane. It's insane.
yeah.
He hasn't beaten anyone.
Is the WBO easier to get rankings? Good rankings in because I was looking at, we'll come on to Taylor Esserman in a bit, but that's where he's ranked as well. And I'm not saying no, not to. I don't know. Are there ones where it's just like
There
right,
are
you'll get?
I, I don't keep up with it rankings enough to know exactly, like, and I can't be bothered with half of the politics of boxing. I really can't.
No,
It's all just so. But I mean, the fact that Itama has beaten more or less nobody and has a number one ranking is absolutely ludicrous. Like it's just
yeah,
ludicrous. Like i- if ever you wanted to know that boxing is entirely about money, that's it.
yes, yeah, yeah. Oh, and Pacquiao going straight in for a world title.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Boss Suleiman takes his sweet, sweet 3%. Um, but yeah, so no, yeah, they're the ones I'd like to see: Bakole and Valen, and then end of the year. So Bakole undercard of Usyk Dubois, Valen maybe
Well, Otto
September.
Wallin, I think is a good show. I think that would be a decent fight. Can't see why he'd take it really, but he's not going to go anywhere, is he?
No, no, no. So I think yeah, they're what I'll go. They're my predictions. They are my predictions.
I'm
So
going to say I think his next fight. I haven't heard of the fighter. I don't think I've heard of it, who it is. Like I
oh
think it'll be
really?
yeah, I think it'll be a no name again.
Okay. Same guy they put Johnny Fisher out with.
Yeah, yeah, back to back. Yeah.
Yeah, fine. And then after that fight, where this guy gets knocked out, in the first round versus Itauma, second round against Johnny Fisher, that guy then is ranked number two by the WBO. He's up there then. He's up there then.